Welcome back to Alumni Game, the show where three Gamecocks dive into South Carolina sports, football, hoops, the NCAA, everything that comes along with it.
Where our opinions are never filtered, sometimes reasonable, and always fun.
That's right. You can check out all of those takes that we have on YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on all those platforms. Settle in, y'all, and let's get started with this week's episode of Alumni
Game!
Hey, South Carolina fans, welcome back to Alumni Game. Back this week with your hosts, Michael J. Ritchie, class of '06. I got my co-hosts, Sam Niedermeyer, also class of '06, and John Buster Clarkson, our senior member here, class of '02, rocking that mustache and looking good by the veranda here. Sam's on the hardwood, getting hydrated.
Emily Arena in Tampa. I'm actually here in Tampa for the women's Final Four.
Wearing his Nationals gear. I'm sure thinking about Ovechkin any day now. Breaking.
Hey, man, he's four-way.
Yeah, not the biggest hockey show here, but we got to give props there. Ovi getting it done up in Washington. They're looking pretty good. They may be able to go pretty far.
Great call out, by the way.
Said I'd wear it. I got my Pavlov shirt here.
I love it.
I was staff for like a day. But if you've been to Pavlov's in downtown Columbia, shout out to them. I'm trying to rock some hometown stuff.
Hey, is it still open?
I'm pretty sure. I meant to Google it
Pavlov's?
before.
Pavlov's,
Pavlov's has been closed quite a while.
Didn't it just get renamed though? Isn't it kind of the same thing, but it just got renamed?
No, it closed down.
I remember
There was too much trouble going on there.
Yeah. You guys got some great. We got some. Maybe this turns into an R-rated show because we got some
Sam
great.
is on the
great
hardwood.
stories
That's
from
where we
Pavlov's.
want to be, Gamecock fans. We got all kinds of hoops still. We're dribbling through March into April here. We got women's and men's. We'll cover both. We'll start with the women's because as far as South Carolina concerned, we are where we want to be. We have gotten back to the Final Four. Fifth straight appearance for Dawn Staley kissing babies after the win.
Indeed.
Could be seven straight too, man. Because remember they didn't remember the COVID year. They were the number one team in the nation. They never even had a tournament, remember? So it could be 7 or 8 straight.
COVID
Yeah,
asterisk. Okay.
that's true.
Yeah. 5 straight would land us right in COVID. Yeah, you're right. That's cool. All right. I'll allow it, I guess high level here before we just dive right to Final Four. Anything crazy that surprised you guys so far? Any of the scores, any of the teams here? I mean, it feels good to me. I mean, I think it's interesting. We got this SEC matchup on our side. Feels like another button on the SEC championship game. But on the other side too, that UConn UCLA, that's a fun matchup. And whoever we get here, I mean, we got 2 tough games ahead, right?
I mean, the thing to me is, I think there might have been a couple of surprises, but this Final Four worked out the way that I envisioned it because I feel like the 4 best teams that need to play is South Carolina, the returning national champs, and the 3 teams that beat them this season. That was Texas, UConn, and UCLA. So the fact that it's the national champs and the 3 teams that beat them during the regular season, that means that's the 4 best teams on the court. Yeah. That to me is what you want in the Final Four. Yes, do we love Cinderellas and the underdog stories? Of course. But in the end, we want good basketball and we want exciting basketball and we want fun games that we watch from beginning to end. And I think if you have the 4 best teams on the court, you're going to get that. So
Hey, Mike,
I'm going with that.
Mike, you remember when we had our women's basketball tournament basketball show and the men's tournament basketball show, and we were talking about this exact same thing, right? Like, hey, who are the teams that we potentially would scare us?
Yeah.
And it was these 3 teams. And
yeah, the one I threw in was Duke, just because.
You did.
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
Yep.
And I thought Notre Dame could be sniffing around too, but I'm with you guys. I feel like when the shit comes down, these are the best teams that we saw pretty much all year. And definitely Texas, heading into the tournament and with SEC play. I mean, the women's side of SEC was almost, just as good, even though the men's SEC was kind of loaded. And, UCLA has been rocking the top pretty much the whole time. I mean, I thought, yes, it could someone come in. Is that what the tourney atmosphere gets you? Is, maybe a 3 or lower can get in there. I'm glad that UConn gets in there because it felt like they maybe should have been a number one. So it kind of feels like all number ones. It's not. That would have been interesting to have both tournaments have all number ones. And some people may say, AKA boring. But the rankers and statisticians are getting it right here. The top seeds are top seeds for a reason, and it's just one of those years where the cream is at the top. Speaking of the cream at the top, one of the best players for us going in this Final Four, not even a starter, right? And we're talking a lot about Malaysia Fulwiley and just all the talk around her and her season and what she's doing for us off the bench. I mean, it feels like none of these teams have what we have coming off the bench.
The thing is, do not take the game against Duke as gospel, because that game you saw te-hina Paopao only scored 9. Tessa did not score any points at all, and Malaysia only scored 5. And so that was a weird kind of game. I think what Duke was doing was working, because this was a close game to the very end, and it took our bigs, Chloe and Sanaya, to come out. Both of them had over double-digit points, and played pretty much the whole game at like 33 minutes each. So that sort of thing is going to happen. But if you look at the games prior to that, then you're going to see where Malaysia is definitely taking over. Do we want her role to change from being the sixth woman, or does she need to get in the starting lineup, or do we keep things status quo going in this championship or the Final Four championship matchups?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like Dawn is the type to make a bunch of changes. I mean, it almost feels like an injury or something would have to happen for that, or at least a tweak. But you never know. I mean, if depending on how it goes, if she thinks Malaysia is, which it feels like she would be, a full-time starter next year and leading the team next year, then maybe you want to get her that experience early and now, and that's something Dawn might do. But at the same time, she's going to give her seniors and her senior players, what they're deserved. I mean, we talk a lot about this team and the way a bunch of players on this team could play full time somewhere else, and they choose not to.
Oh yeah.
So
well, that's the thing.
whatever
right?
Dawn wants to do, this team will buy in. It seems a little more. I think, Sam, you were saying in the prep, it's a little more just internet chatter and something to talk about.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of trolls on X. Is what
doesn't
it
really
is, man.
apply.
I don't
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
I don't
Dawn
really
is
think
gospel,
Dawn.
right? So
I don't really think Dawn really gives a what like that. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, look, Foley's getting her minutes. It's not like she's like only playing 10 minutes a game, right? Like she's getting in there, she's getting her 20. Like there's like 7 or 8 players that are getting between 20 and 30 minutes. So I mean, there's like 8 or 9 McDonald's All-Americans, 10 McDonald's All-Americans, as Kim Mulkey knows. It's just a matter of like,
Yep.
hey, if she comes off the bench, who cares? She's getting her points. She's getting her stats.
And it's funny you say that, Sam. I was just thinking, if this wasn't on right now, if South Carolina wasn't here and we weren't talking tournament, we might be talking McDonald's All-Star game, because I was watching some of that ladies game the other night. The men's game was on later, so I didn't catch too much of it. I'll definitely catch highlights. But those games are games to note. Those are players that we see. It's not like you play in those McDonald's games and we never see you again. I remember seeing LeBron James in one of those games. You know?
Vince
Yeah, I
Carter
think
was
with
in
this-
it. Like there's all those late 90s, early 2000s.
And McDonald's for sponsoring those games for 40 years now or something ridiculous.
It's like Wendy's. It's like Wendy's sponsoring the Heisman.
It's true.
Hey, give me a Heisman and a Big Bacon Classic. That's my Wendy's order. 2 JBCs as well. Got to get 2 JBCs with the Big Bacon Classic.
Love the JBC and Frosty. So going back to this
Yeah.
Final Four here, we got some odds. So despite UConn being the quote unquote like lowest seed, or highest seed, how are you going to call it? They're the 2. They actually have the highest odds according to Vegas at -170. We're second at +280. UCLA third at +750, and Texas at +850. So Vegas likes UConn. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think they're the team that scares me the most.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
That
love
scares
for
me,
UCLA to just take them out, and then we can get revenge on UCLA, and then maybe that's all she wrote. But yeah, I get it. What are people seeing here? We've been on a tear, and we've only lost a few, and we got to play a team that we've played 3 times already, and we would end up beating Texas 3 times in one season. That does not seem like the most likely. You definitely know that Don's got a plan. I definitely think we see something a little different. But I'm with this 6th woman here. Like, I get that. I mean, You guys know I've been on about my Celtics, and I mean, we probably have the sixth man of the year with Peyton Pritchard, and that's a guy that could play somewhere else and shoot. And he does something a little different with his half court shots and stuff like that. He brings a little edge. I think Full Wiley likes doing that off the bench for now because I think she knows going forward that won't be the case, right? I mean, next year she's starting. She will be a full time starter. Maybe she's just enjoying this to be able to come off the bench and bring that energy and blindside an opponent with something off the bench. I look for her to. She knows Texas real well, and she gets another shot. I'd look for her. I definitely am with what you were saying, Buster, about our bigs sort of almost working in tandem. We're deep there.
Yeah.
That could be.
Well, to me, it's like this could be Malaysia's coming out parties in the sense of this is the showcase to introduce everyone to what she can be next year. But I think beyond that, this tournament is really showing kind of like what it did for Camila Cardozo last year, Aaliyah Boston a couple years ago, Asia back in the day. This is Chloe Kitts' party. And I think, watching her play against Duke, Maryland, Indiana, like through the entire tournament, she's been dominant. She's playing with a level of energy that is this is her tournament, and I'm looking forward to that because that to me is what I like about Dawn's teams is that there's always someone there that is showcasing their talent and the reason why Dawn recruited them and the reason why they were big time getting a McDonald's All-American. This is that time for Chloe, and then
this is the actual moment.
Yeah, and again, this is just we have so much talent there, and we saw a little bit of it in the preseason. I think we played against Notre Dame, and Malaysia had a couple of highlight reels there. And so, yeah, this is the season that we're introducing the national media to Malaysia. But I think next year is going to be when she really flexes her muscles. And
I mean, we'll see. I mean, could go either way, but I feel you that yes, it feels like it's Chloe's. It feels like this is where her draft status is going to get inked. This is where she's going to pay some bills with some NIL.
This is her legacy. It's her South Carolina legacy, right? Like the last 2 years,
Buster
you've had
just laid it out. All those players, years over year. And
I mean, that's
for a bunch of them.
That's true, but like with the taller, there's always going to be like that big man, right? Like with Cardoza, with Boston, right? And so now Chloe Kitts is like legacy. She's not as dominant. What she is she makes up for an effort. She makes up for a work effort, work ethic, and I expect a very physical game against Texas. Up.
I remember saying it early in the season that it was not the same team this year because Cardoza wasn't there, and what would they be, and what would their identity be? And I think you guys both just hit it. Chloe coming in and doing what she can to do what Cardoza does. Not quite the same player. Some players off the bench. An injury happens and opens the door for Full Wiley to play, and some other players to step up. And they're playing like a unit, and they're playing the kind of ball that we know they can play. And I almost think even more so than last year, a couple of losses in there. There was that little stretch with UConn, and there was
Texas
was after UCLA.
It was after Texas. I think
So
it was like a week or two after. It was like a week or two after Texas. Yeah,
UConn, and I just feel like those stretches they learned a lot, obviously, and they carried the energy in the building. I mean, the energy for the men's games was almost not appropriate based off of what the women's were doing, and that Dawn can bring that energy towards the men too. So that was cool. So as far as the matchup, so we talked about the matchups. Obviously, we got Texas, and then maybe the winner of UConn, UCLA. What are any other big challenges that you see? Obviously, we said Texas as a physical game, but what is it about UConn, if we got to UConn, that you guys think could?
Oh, that's simple. I think the UConn is Paige Buckers, Buckers, and Ozzie Fudd. That's it. Those two are dangerous. They have an inside game. They can shoot the tray. They have moves. They can post. They can drive. They can distribute. They can do it all. They are very dangerous under Gino's tutelage. So, we've beaten Texas. Texas beat us on their home court, but we've shown that we can match up to their physicality. I haven't seen much of
the
UCLA.
First one, right? We won by 17 in the first one,
But I haven't seen much of UCLA to really know outside of that loss at the beginning of the season. That was a beginning of the season loss, so you never know what contributed to that. But I've seen enough of UConn to know that Paige and Ozzie are they're dangerous. And if you're going to have a chance against them, you got to defend them the entire court. Like you
Yeah,
from
it does feel
inbound
more
all
about
the way up.
defense in general. Yeah.
I mean, they carved us up in that loss to UConn. That like what was it? But they lost by like 15 or 17 points to UConn earlier
Yeah,
this year, and it was those two that carved up the Lady
I'm
Gamecocks.
okay with that
Bree
though.
yeah.
Hall,
It feels
Bree
like
Hall
Doc
is going to have her
removes
hands
that,
full
you
this
know?
Final Four. Bree Hall is going to have her hands full, no doubt. If they first off, she's got to defend against Booker, the Texas scoring threat, right on
Yep.
Friday. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I feel pretty confident that we're going to beat Texas. I am very worried though.
I am.
I
You
think
got a line
UConn.
for us?
The line is, it's a great
Because I mean,
question.
all right, so we have UConn favored overall, just in terms of the rest of the Final Four. Then you mentioned, I
Yeah.
think you said us, then UCLA, then Texas. So that's kind of the pecking order here.
I
I
think we're,
I,
Um,
I agree with that.
I think we're 4.5. I think we're 3.5 point favorites on
oh, that's
against
not a lot.
Yeah.
Texas.
Let me look it up real
That's
quick.
not a
Uh,
lot.
'Cause-
And then I would imagine on the other side, UConn is favored, like you said,
yeah,
against.
UConn's
Yeah.
big favorites. They're big favorites for the tournament. So I don't know, just because exactly what Buster said, man. I think Bree Hall is going to be the key to this Final Four. She's going to have to slow down Booker. She's going to have to slow down Paige. It's not going to be an easy task. I mean, it's really not. But I imagine Raven Johnson will get her some help too, especially
Yeah.
against that
Feels
UConn
like both of
tandem.
these games coming out of halftime is the biggest time. No matter what it is at half, you
Yeah.
start playing well and get that edge starting up.
UConn is giving 7.5 to
Oh
UCLA.
wow, yeah, that is a big
So
line.
that's a big
A couple
line.
possessions.
The fact that you are favored by that much as the 2 seed playing against a 1 seed tells you all you need to know about the streak.
Yeah, again, it
Yeah.
feels like maybe UConn should have been a one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I always see that with the tournament. Like when we were talking about picking the tournament and stuff, a team's a 7, they could actually be a good 6 or a bad 8. Like there's that window, right? I mean, even if you're a 1, you can be a low 1, almost a 2
Mhm.
or a 3 even. It just kind of depends on the day or the week and what they're thinking. There's so many teams to rank. It's too hard to make it perfect. Um, all right. Well, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, obviously, we got those games coming up here. I think our game is Friday, and then I think both games are Friday, right? Like 7 and
Both games
9.
Friday.
Yeah.
Ours at
7
7.
and 9.
Yep.
Yep.
Nice prime time. That's great. I
Ugh.
got my Friday.
You guys want to go with some predictions here? What are you guys thinking?
All right. I'm going to
I
go
mean, you gave us the line.
South Carolina over Texas, right? South Carolina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're all doing that. I mean, not to be homers, which we are, but
And we're given 5.5 points. So I'm going to say,
Oh, line moved up. I think it had opened at
Yeah.
4.5. I think.
yeah.
Because
So
it moved the other
if
way.
it moves up, then I'm going to say Texas will cover. I'll make it a close game. They'll cover.
oh yeah, you think like
But we
within
get to the
5?
championship game. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
UConn's going to dominate UCLA.
I agree.
I don't see UCLA being able to cover. And then for the final, South Carolina versus UConn is going to be a tough game, but we're going to figure out a way to shut down Ozzy and Paige, and it's going to be back to back for the Garnet and Black, baby.
Wow.
I
What
love
do you
it.
think
I
though?
love
High
it.
scoring versus UConn, a lot of shooting, or does
No, I
This is good
honestly
games
I would
that
love
stay
for it
low.
to be high scoring, but no, I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be no. I'm not going to say it's going to be like that Duke North Carolina game from this
Yeah.
past week, which was like 57 to 38.
Yeah,
or
that
whatever
feels
it was.
low for any game.
But
60s is
I
like
think it's going to be like mid 70s. We'll say
Yeah.
75,
Comfortable
71
weather.
or 75, 72. You know,
nice. Well, I mean, they all got hoop dreams in HD here, so we'll see what the ladies can do. Obviously, we'll follow up on that. All right, Gamecock fans. So we're dribbling over to the men's Final Four here. We got some blue chip info. No, not really. Just wanted to say blue chips.
We do have
But
some blue chip
we,
info.
our tourney mode is activated here. No sleep till the Final Four because I'm in Brooklyn. And look at this. We got all #1 seeds for the first time since '08, Sam tells me, and only the second time ever. So let's get out of the way. Yeah, okay, a little boring. They were all ranked this way. But man, their journey's here, and I'm looking at my bracket, and I like what I have, especially on my Auburn bracket, because the only one I got, my eyes got a little big, and my grandfather was a massive UConn fan, and I knew he would have picked UConn, and I liked UConn to take out Florida. They did not, so I do have a hole there where UConn used to be. But look at this, Florida, Auburn, to go to the title, and then Duke, Houston on the other side. So it's like the SEC versus all. And look at Duke, the little ACC team that could, where I only have 2, I do have Duke, so I'm kind of split between the two. But it does kind of feel like basically the winner of this second SEC tournament, could have it all. I mean, Auburn and Florida both look incredible. I was skeptical on Florida going into this tournament because I had seen them lose some games I thought they should have won.
They almost
But they,
lost to us. That's why I didn't believe them.
yeah,
We were awful.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And Duke does have some premier players. I mean, we saw some of those blocks in the last one, and Cooper Flagg is putting together a season to remember. So there are some real names here, but all four really feel like they can do it. And now I'm going to put you on the spot, Sam, with odds for them. But I gotta think
got
it
you.
goes something in that order, like Auburn, Houston, Florida, Duke, or maybe you could interchange any of them.
So I want to make a comment real quick because you said it's kind of boring for all one seeds.
I
But
mean, that's just what
if
people
it's
say.
only happened twice ever, then isn't
not
that
that
like
boring.
the? Anyways,
But
Houston.
it takes out so many fun sayings I can say about Cinderellas
I
and about
know.
upset alerts. There's no upsets because they're all number ones. Whoever
But
wins,
you
they're
know,
number
for like
one.
5 or 6 years in a row, we had like actually I think it was like 7 years in a row. Remember when the Gamecocks went to the Final Four? We were a 7 seed, and there was like a 7 seed in the Final
Yep.
Four, like for like 8 straight seasons.
Yeah,
Let's get
sevens are nice.
let's get some.
I like sevens and tens and fives and 12s. Like those are always my jam. Where I'm
We're talking
talking
about
upsets, and
seedings,
most
right?
of them
Not
hit.
not women. Anyways, we'll go.
Wait, what?
I said we're talking about seedings, right? Not women.
Oh
Not
yeah,
like men.
yeah, 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 yeah. We're talking about fives and 12s. Yeah, I got you.
Duke is a
Sevens.
4.5 point favorite over Houston, and Florida is a 2.5 point favorite over
Oh,
Auburn.
those could get closer. Florida, really?
Ooh, I kind of like that. I like that. So my thing is I don't ever tell people that I was right or wrong with my brackets because I fill out multiple brackets
Yeah.
like for the different things. So, and I fill them out differently each time because I'm not really worried about uh, uh, winning money or being right for the brackets because that's not what's fun about brackets is like the predictions, the guesstimations, and things like
Yeah.
that. I did have one bracket where all number ones went. And I only did that because every year I always fill out one bracket that has all number ones in the final four.
Yeah, you
Because
just pick all the
again, it
favorites.
doesn't happen as often as people think. And so every now and again, if you're right about that, you can kind of brag about it. So but the reasoning why is going into this tournament outside of a couple of teams. Like I did like Michigan State. I did talk about the St.
Yeah,
John's with
I did too.
There was the BYU. We were talking about that in our bracket episode. But the reality is the strongest teams so far in the tournament have been Florida, Auburn, Houston, and
Yeah.
Duke as far as the
Yeah,
way
they
they
just
play.
have looked
Duke
so
being
good.
the strongest. Duke has looked so dominant with Cooper Flagg and Con. And forgive me, I don't know how to say his last name. I'm going to say
Sure.
Knuppel, whatever. That guy. Him and Cooper have looked very dominant, and you really saw that with Tennessee because Tennessee has played this season with a lot of speed. Their offense runs through Zakai Ziegler, and like they know how to bring it up court fast. They know how to get into the paint, know how to distribute, move the ball around, and they were completely snuffed by
Yeah.
Houston. So
I-
same thing with
Yeah, I mean,
Alabama. Alabama
That
has a
was
high-powered offense too, and they got snuffed
yeah,
by
yeah. I
Duke.
mean, I want to
that
give a
Houston
shout out
game
to a
was
couple of those teams that I thought played really well. I really
yeah.
thought that SEC matchup with Tennessee, Kentucky, that could give Tennessee fits playing Kentucky again. That didn't really happen. I really liked that Alabama just took care of business the whole way, and they had big eyes
Yeah,
for Duke the whole time, and they did the best they could. But I also want to just kind of shout out a couple of teams that I didn't have and stuff that I did have. But first of all, SEC wise, Arkansas, pretty much one of the darlings of the tournament.
hmm
Taking out St. John's and playing Texas Tech fairly well. I mean, Texas Tech had a good squad. I kind of thought Florida was
yeah,
going to have fits with Connecticut and then Maryland and then Texas Tech. So Florida does feel like they've had a harder path than the rest. Than
They've definitely
say,
been tested. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
Auburn is a little too because I mean, look, Creighton was a good squad. Michigan State in a row. That's pretty cool. Duke, other than Bama, I mean, Zona, Baylor, Mount St. Mary's not the most impressive
yeah,
thing, but beating Bama, that's pretty big. And then on the other side, I thought Purdue could bring a little more. I thought, McNeese
yeah.
did us all a favor knocking out that Clemson paw, and I really thought Purdue could get on that and mount something. And we talked about how Purdue is fluctuated up and down in the tournament, and they just seem to be there every year. They seem to be sitting pretty as a 4. But Houston just takes care of business and knocks out Gonzaga, Purdue, Tennessee in that order. That's not bad either. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Any one that jumps out to you guys right away that you're like, nah, they look like national champs. I mean,
I mean,
guess
the way
a
that
couple
Florida
of
beat UConn, I
Yeah.
guess, would have been like my thing. I mean, again, it was a close game. That was one of the closer games. That was actually one of the more exciting games, especially if you got Dan Hurley on the sideline. You never know what kind of antics he's going to do. But like you said, Mike and Sam, I think you said it too. Like Florida definitely had the toughest route to where we are now. UConn, Maryland, Texas Tech, and like again,
Yep.
those guys are really good. But that
And they were
UConn
down
game,
multiple. They were down by a lot of
Yeah,
points with
yeah.
like 3 minutes
comeback
left against
specialists, yeah.
Texas
And I
Tech. That
think
was
that's
impressive.
what it was. Is
Yeah.
with UConn, you saw the dominance of how Walter Clayton can easily take over an offense and put his offense in a position to score. And then you have Condon down on the block. That was just the putbacks, the rebounds, the clutch points there. Like that was like, okay, Florida is the real deal. If they don't screw up, they can be national champions.
Yeah,
It's almost like they were so good that it would be a mistake by them to disrupt their path to the national championship. So that's
And it
where I
only
saw
feels
Florida.
fitting the way this is going down because almost everybody is having to beat big SEC teams to get here, right? Duke has to take out Alabama, Houston, Tennessee, Florida, and Auburn got to take out each other, but have also played Arkansas, and A&M was in the mix in there. But this is definitely one of those things where I had a little sneaky thing in the back of my head. I was like, we're going to get all these SEC teams in, and what's going to happen? They're all going to lose, right?
So that was going to be my surprise, Mike. That's actually the surprise of the SEC
Yeah.
is how the performance of the SEC teams, because bowl season wasn't particularly nice to us. We weren't particularly great to Santa
call.
Claus.
No.
Good throwback.
In football. So
No, that was good. Yeah, no, and
Um,
you're right. I remember
was-
that. I mean, and that's the way it happens.
And the SEC
right?
played
You get this many teams
really
in,
played
and it's
well.
like, no, that's too many, right? But I mean, some of them kind of farted out, right? Like our Vandy and A&M probably should have gone a little further if they could have taken out Michigan. But a lot of
There's
credit
5
to
teams in the Elite
Arkansas.
Eight from the
one
SEC.
team I want to
That's-
credit the most is Arkansas. We all have the Johnnies with their coach going a lot farther, and they're not here because of those Hogs. So big ups to them.
Yeah, I don't shout out to the Hogs because I don't like John Calipari and I don't really
either.
like Arkansas.
I gotta tell you,
God
man.
damn it, I respect it.
St. John's is my champion this year, and Arkansas knocked. I was
Watch
done
it
by.
told the
I
next
was
year.
done by
Watch them just
Saturday.
be pest and run it next year.
My bracket was done by Saturday. Another storyline too. I am just absolutely shocked at how a lot of these bigger bloods, specifically Kansas and UConn, because UConn's won like what 2 or 3 in a row, two championships in a row, and Kansas was a preseason #1, and they just kind of. I mean, I don't know what happened this season. I didn't watch a lot of Kansas or UConn, but I was really shocked. I actually thought UConn had a chance to beat Florida because of that pedigree, and I thought Kansas, because Kansas is a blue blood, they got all Americans at every position. Really shocked at their performances. I mean, it's just
Kansas when they lost to K-State. I kind of figured like this is not their
writing was on the wall.
They looked, they were not saying that they were a bad team by any means, but they did not. A Kansas Bill Self team. Was not what I saw against Kansas State earlier this season. And honestly, Sam, you said it right. Like Michigan State, I always pull for Tom Izzo. I love Tom Izzo as a coach, and I thought they were going to go far. And then, them playing Ole Miss, yes, they won, but it was a lot closer than I expected because I didn't think it's as dominant as the SEC was in basketball this year. Ole Miss. Yes, they were a 6 seed, but they weren't the strongest looking 6 seed. No. And so
then they take out number
Michigan
3, Iowa State, which some people had a lot further.
Yeah, so Michigan State, once they beat Ole Miss, I was like, okay, well, they have a chance to really be competitive with Auburn, and they were for a little while. But again, it didn't feel like you said, the Blue Bloods didn't feel, outside of Duke, obviously, did not feel like they were strong this year. And for whatever reason, it's not on coaching because there's a reason why they're Blue Bloods. They got legendary coaches.
If Sam's living in Buster's busted bracket land, I get that because there are definitely some other teams I see there that I would throw in, not quite blue blood, but Memphis is in here every year. They get upset.
Gonzaga,
they get taken out. Obviously Missouri underperforms as an SEC. They're not really a blue blood, but then on the other side, The Arizonas, the Oregons, the teams that kind of feel like they're always in it.
Yeah,
Shout out to BYU too, though. I thought they played really well. I thought if they don't
yeah.
get Alabama, maybe they can get through Duke and actually get there. BYU was closer than people think, and so a lot of coaching changes already. I guess the guy from Maryland already left, and someone already stepped in, and they feel good. But
Buzz Williams, who we know in the SEC,
yeah,
he's taken over at Maryland. Kevin Willard's go. I mean, there's
yeah,
a
it's a
carousel
carousel.
spinning right
But
now.
an
Buzz
interesting thing
Williams
they were
goes
saying
everywhere, man.
on
Yeah,
PTI last night was how Maryland doesn't really have this identity, right? They're like known as this ACC team and the ACC teams they play, but they're Big Ten now, and so they don't really have an identity. They need to build like the
Yeah.
relationship with their other teams by to do more in the tournament in the future.
they
Fun,
had
Um,
an
fun.
identity with Stevie Franchise and before him
Gary,
Lynn
well,
Bias.
Gary Williams was the
That
head
was the last time
coach.
they had identity.
They had won. Remember, they won the championship with Lonnie Baxter and
Yeah,
oh yeah,
Juan
that's right.
Dixon back in 2000. What was it 2001, 2002? I'll tell you
yeah.
what, fun coaching stat. For all four coaches, even though despite all being one seeds, all four coaches, first Final Fours, first. So we're gonna have our first champion ever as a head coach here, and three of the coaches kind of interesting. First time ever, three Jewish coaches.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
and
that
isn't
is a
it
good one.
two of the coaches, John Shire and Todd Golden, they're both under the age of what 35 or
Yeah,
I mean
Shire
they're
was on
under
that.
the age of they're
Shire was on that 2012 team that Duke won, right? 2012,
yeah,
2013, something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And then Todd Golden was on Bruce Pearl's staff, who is now coaching at Auburn.
How about
So
that? Yeah,
Very
good
nice.
for
uh,
them. And then so we got Florida and Auburn, so that's kind of fun right there. So they got two pals right there. So we'll
Climbing around the coaching trees.
definitely have an SEC team in the championship no matter what.
yep.
I gotta be
Yes.
honest with you guys. I could see any of these games going either way, but I just got this feeling that Duke's just a tier better than everyone else, specifically because of the personnel. But that Houston defense is stifling, man. It is
Yeah, I
It
mean that's
stifling.
is.
why
It
these
is.
matchups are great. I mean, if I had to pick it, I think that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm doing Duke, Florida, and I'm probably going Florida. But it could easily be Auburn, Houston, and be Auburn, or Houston could lock everyone down and kind of be the story here. What do you got, Buster?
No, I was just checking because the biggest thing I think was obviously checking to see if there was some coaching
Oh,
moves
that's all right.
with the carousel. Yeah, no,
The
it was
lines
one
are
of those
interesting,
where
though. I'll say that. I think Duke could cover, maybe. But I don't think anybody's covering in that Florida game. That's
you know, and that's the thing is
unless you
I
said it was
like
low.
to
Didn't you say it was 2.5?
with 2.5. Florida given 2.5, and then Duke given 4.5.
Yeah, so maybe Florida can
Yeah,
cover
like
that.
my little ticker on my phone, like I always check it because I want to. I'm always checking the lines because I'm not a professional gambler, but I'm a degenerate
Don't
gambler.
do it, kids.
Uh,
Gamble
but no,
responsibly.
it's one of those where if you want good basketball, if you want exciting basketball, I think the Florida Auburn matchup is going to be good. I am interested in how Houston's defense is going to
Yeah,
play against Duke, and because that was the thing is what makes Duke, like you said, Sam, like that slight tier ahead of everybody, is how potent their offense and how efficient their offense is.
yeah. If they
They,
can
there's
cut
not a
into
lot
them
of missteps
early
there.
and knock them off their
Yeah,
game a little, then they
And
got.
and
their
that's
defense is low key really efficient too. Like I know they give up a lot of points, but that's because they're scoring 85 a game.
Yeah,
yeah.
and they get the
So
crowd into it too with the blocks and stuff.
it'll
So
be fun. I'm glad you're down there, Sam, in Tampa, to be able to watch all this stuff.
Well, I'm at the women's Final Four. This is
Yeah.
down in
good man.
Tampa. So wait, is the men's Final Four in Tampa?
It is no,
I should know that since I'm down here.
You would think,
it's in
but
the Alamo Dome.
Yeah. No,
oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm down in the Amalie Arena down here in Tampa, as you guys can see.
Yeah.
So we talked about
There's a
who
stray
has
cat walking around here.
who has the best chance, and we talked about some players. I mean, I think for me, I just got to go Cooper Flag. I mean, he's just doing so
Yeah.
much for them. Who you guys think? I mean, you could go with the same, but is there one player that stands out as kind of ends up being the MVP of this tournament, maybe by the end?
You said Cooper. That it's hard to disagree with that. But if Florida does make it to the national championship and does get out there, then Walter Clayton, what he's been able to do for Florida as far as guiding them from an offensive standpoint, I would love to see him get some recognition.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, I mean they play a lot of team
I
ball,
think
but he steps out.
And then who's the I'm gonna probably Johnny Broom. I
Oh,
think
Janai Broom, yeah.
Janai Brew,
Denied.
thank you. I knew I wasn't going to pronounce his first name
That's all right.
correct. I think he could be the difference maker in this tournament if he, because we saw flashes of him in the SEC tournament looking fat, looking kind of not fabulous, and now in the NCAA tournament he's looking great.
Absolutely not
Yeah, he
fabulous.
wasn't the best. I think there's a big reason why Auburn didn't win against Tennessee. But I think Janai Brom, right? Is that someone else? I
Yep,
think
yep,
if
yep.
he might be the most important player, and if he is, then Auburn wins.
Does that mean that you are hopeful, sure, guaranteeing he's not going to get injured in the game on
Oh, that
Saturday?
game could be 50-50.
Oof, ah man, I'm gonna
Or is he
say that
even 100%? Because he did not look 100%
Yeah,
this
you make a
past week.
good point, Buster. Like maybe the teams that get to the final are all banged up coming out of this Final Four.
I mean,
That's
hopefully
a,
he's
Well,
got
was it
hopefully
that
he's got
last
a
game when he
week.
landed on his elbow? He got
Yeah,
taken back and he comes back in. And, yes, props to him for getting back in the game. But there was several moments where he was either holding his elbow or not using that arm at all. He went to go grab a rebound and basically palmed it with his other hand because he could not use this arm at all. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
and you don't know if that's like
what's
a
his
funny
health status?
bone or what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
And so, that's the other thing is I love the take on Janai Broom, but are we saying that he is going to be 100% by the time
yeah.
the
I
game
mean, you're
rolls
just
around on
hoping,
Saturday?
and you're hoping that coach knows what he's doing with that.
if
Um,
if he's
Yeah.
100% and he's playing at his top level, I think he could change the outcome. But I mean, he's also the wild card because of that. Buster, you're right.
I think
Yeah.
it's also kind of awesome. I mean, we talked about this matchup, Florida and Auburn. I mean, whoever wins that game, regardless of the SEC championship, regardless of the SEC regular season, like is sort of the cream of the crop of the SEC, right? And I think that's why that game is pretty cool. So I think Gamecock fans are going to be paying attention to that. Obviously, going into next year, even if an SEC team doesn't win at all, whoever wins Auburn, Florida is instantly on the radar for next year. I mean, obviously, all of these teams are. The SEC is going to be good again, and it's going to be about who goes pro. But if Florida makes the national championship, I'm looking forward to playing Florida over any other SEC team because I
Yeah.
of the gauntlet they went through and what they were able to do because they'll be that much
Yep.
more experience for next year. Um,
They've probably got the most depth too. I would think they've got some guys.
yeah, in terms
They
of
got a
what
lot of
happens
height.
next
They
year.
got a lot of height. That's for sure.
Speaking of next year, stepping away from this tournament and not even another tournament, the NIT, we have our little Cinderella buzzer beaters, the South Carolina Gamecocks, who have been making some news. We all agreed that not playing in the NIT was a good idea for
Hmm.
recruiting, obviously, to be available and to be on the recruiting trail. And we have done just that with some transfers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So who transferred out? All right. So we had Austin Hero, Tyler Hero's younger brother. He
Yeah,
was,
the guy in the Heat, right?
yeah. Didn't get much play. We did. He was a scholarship player, but he just he was not. He's not
Yeah, it's fine.
SEC
Greener
basketball.
pastures elsewhere.
So he's out. Another guy from the bench left as well. No big deal. Two guys that got significant play. Nick Pringle and Arden Conyers. Nick Pringle was the transfer we got from Alabama last year. The big man, 6'10",
A lot of hype
pretty
for him
stout.
too, coming in
He
last year. A lot
he
of hype.
he. There was a lot of hype, and he did score his points. He did get some rebounds, but he never looked comfortable in
No,
what he was doing. And it's just, I think, the eyes got big as far as his talent and athletic ability, but was not a Lamont Paris system fit, and that's okay. He left. Zach Davis. There was a lot of hopes from Zach Davis his freshman year. He started to show that he could play some pretty good defense, and he was starting to develop a shot. And so this past year, his task in the offseason was to get better, to get more of a consistent shot, to be that lockdown defender, especially because he's very long. He was, I think, 6'6", and he could pull out and go and take on a guard on the outside perimeter. And with that kind of length, you like that kind of defense. Problem is, never really showed it this year. I think he regressed offensively. He's gone. Arden Conyers had a lot of promise, looked really good in his several games, but I think he's young enough to where he wants a fresh start. and he wants to be able to improve his game. The last guy that left was a guy we hoped would have stayed, Cam Scott. A lot of expectations for the freshman this year. Decommitted from Texas, came over and played with us. I think those expectations were a little too much. We put too much on him. He needed to develop, and he even said it. He's just, I thought I was ready. He put a lot of expectations on himself, but he did not. And again, this is against SEC play. Like, we struggle in SEC play. There's a reason why the SEC was very, very good this year, but he just never quite lived up to that. And he also is looking for a fresh start.
He was kind of
A lot of guys
he was
going.
kind of a late entrance into the portal, wasn't he? Well, didn't that
Yeah,
happen
he went
like
in
really recent?
Yeah, like 2 days ago. It was
Oh,
either
man. That's a
yesterday
shame.
or Monday.
Wish him the
But
best of luck, but that's a shame
oh
for
yeah,
us.
and
Yeah,
all
totally.
these guys, like, none of them burned bridges. There was no bad blood. It's just
Yeah, just doesn't
after
fit.
this
It's not a
season,
fit.
they just need not a fit, just need a fresh start. So who do we have? Well, we have Trayson Eaglestaff from North Dakota. This guy is a lockdown shooter. This guy can hit from all over the court. I'm looking for. He's tall too. He's was it 6'6"? Yeah, 6'6", 6'7", shooting guard from North Dakota. And so as a transfer, he was rated 94. So
North
that's
Dakota,
that's a high
big
4-star.
step up.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do. Pair him with Eli Ellis, the freshman phenom coming in from OTE Academy. I could see our shooting percentages shooting way up the charts. We also got Chris Essendoko.
See, from
Apologies
That's a
if
guy
I
from
said it
Providence.
wrong. Guy from Providence, 7-footer
Yep.
from Providence,
Huge.
originally from France. I like this guy because he's the big that we're looking for, but he's got more of an offensive game than someone like Nick Pringle. He's they call it soft hands. He's flexible. He can move well on the post. That fits more what Lamont Paris
Yeah, it
wants out
does.
of a big. So I'm looking forward to that. But the real story is our boy Michi Johnson. He's coming back to play his final year with
my boy,
South Carolina. So he's originally I think he's from Akron, actually. I think his dad played with LeBron. So
yeah,
he
he's
started
LeBron's like his unk. Yeah.
yeah. So he started his career at Ohio State, needed a fresh start, comes here, part of our tournament team a couple years ago, Lamont Paris's second year with Carolina. And after the season, he had told us that he wanted to go and play one more season at Ohio State, his hometown school. Completely understandable. We all said good luck. We wish you the best. Thank you for being a part of Gamecock Country.
Yeah.
Things didn't work out in Ohio State this past year. I think he was able to take a leave of absence from the team. I'm not sure the whole stuff behind it, but pretty much he has an extra year, and he says, you know what? Let's run it back at Carolina.
Run it back, baby.
Michi Johnson's
Yeah,
coming back.
to be
baby.
honest, it
Welcome
seemed like
home.
Michigan State had a lot to say about that. I mean, Michigan State, Illinois, there were a lot
Yeah.
of other teams that Wisconsin, that were coming up in that division, and
Yeah. So
yeah.
Big Ten.
And
Big
obviously
Ten's a
Ohio
good basketball
State,
school.
big football school, yeah.
Big Ten's a big basketball conference. Another good. So Michi Johnson, great for him to come back. He comes back and forth.
Yeah, yo, back
great
and forth.
fit. Kobe Knox got a transfer portal today. 6'5", 195 pounds. He's coming over from Southern Florida?
South Florida. Yep,
South
USF.
Florida. South Florida.
Man,
and-
what a great name,
Kobe Knox?
That
It
is
almost
such
sounds-
a great name.
It almost sounds like
I like his length. I definitely like getting Trayson Eaglestaff and Kobe Knox playing kind of these shooting guard, but can kind of switch a role to like a wing position because of their length. I'm liking that. Kobe Knox, same thing. Like he can shoot the ball 76% from the free throw line, around 35% from three, probably around high 40s, low 50s field goal percentage. Averages about 11 points a game. So
brings a lot
we
of
need
guys,
shooters.
I'm glad I brought it up earlier,
bring-
but it's starting to feel like no NIT is this team. And if this team does it next year, we're printing shirts. This is the no
Yeah.
NIT.
This is the
team.
no NIT.
This
I
is
like
what
that.
no NIT gets you.
All I'm saying is
Kobe brings
what
that
I
starting.
like-
Kobe brings that starting experience. Too.
And maybe we even get some
played
guys returning
55
that want
games.
to
He's
stick
starting
around.
55
They see all
games,
this
averaging
new
30
talent.
minutes a game.
Well, what I like the most is there was several games we watched this season where by the half we were barely shooting 25% from the field, and I was like, oh my god, is Frank Martin coaching us again? But so that's
Easy
the
on
thing
Frank,
is,
man. I miss
He
Frank.
needs-
I get it. I get it. I get where you're coming from, Buster.
I'm just
I get it.
saying, low shooting percentages.
Yeah.
We had to go get shooters. We got some shooters. The only thing left on the shopping list is a bona fide point guard, Talon Cooper-esque. That's what we need to commandeer and command this offense, and then we'll be set.
Let this
I
tourney
don't care
wrap
who.
up.
I don't
the
care who
other
comes
guy.
in as long as the team shoots above 70% from the charity stripe next season. I don't really give a shit who comes in.
There you go.
Okay, come on,
There
man.
you
You
go.
guys got to make free throws, David. You got to make
Yeah.
free throws.
I mean, I can make free throws. Granted, it is in the driveway on a busted rim, but I can still make free throws. That's the one thing I work on. That way I can talk shit about anybody that doesn't make their free throws. Dude,
Go
I
mow
can
the
make free
lawn.
throws.
I love your motivation, Buster. It's great.
That's great. Well,
I won't talk shit about anything else in your game on the basketball court because I'm terrible, but I will talk shit about your free throws.
Free throws, good place to button it up, fellas. A lot of good tourney talk here. Ready to hit the hardwood this weekend. Hope we got you guys prepped. Let us know if we missed anything, if there's anything in the tournament that you see that we don't. If you vehemently disagree with our picks, let us know. Feel free to drop it in the comments. And remember to like, subscribe if you like what you're seeing. Tell us what else we should talk about. Interact with us. We love that. Probably post tourneys, we'll dive into our mailbag too to see what we missed there or what you guys are talking about. But as far as I can see it, guys, besides knocking down some free throws and maybe some 3-pointers, that is another episode of Alumni
Game!
Cox. Let's go, Don and Chloe. Go
It's
get them.
awesome,
Go get them.
baby.